So, as good as Breath of the Wild is, I have a little confession to make. While the game is without a doubt one of the best Zelda games to date, it isn't my favorite of all time. It's actually kind of hard to decide on what game would be my favorite, since I have enjoyed all the Zelda games I have played so far. However, if I had to say what my favorite portable and home console games were, it would be A Link Between Worlds and Twilight Princess. While the first game mentioned doesn't apply at all to this video, Twilight Princess has a few things regarding this theory that I am going to talk about. I do want to say though that I would love to do a Link Between Worlds theory someday, so we'll see. So, going back to Breath of the Wild. I've talked about the Yuga Clan's unhealthy obsession of bananas, plus the very odd fact that they have complete replicas of the 7 heroine statues and might even be linked to the forgotten 8th heroine. However, there are more questions regarding them that haven't been answered. And one of those questions is the identity of their leader, Master Kohga. All we really know is that he used to be a part of the Sheikah. And I've been thinking recently about who he could be, and I've come up with a possible conclusion. Plenty of this video is going to be speculation, however, I felt like it was enough to at least bring to your attention. So, throughout the entire game, you run into the Yuga Clan. These guys have only one goal, and that is to kill the hero, Link. Soon they end up stealing the Thunder Helm from the Gerudo, and you have to infiltrate their hideout in order to get it back. The entire time they talk about their leader, he is set up to be powerful and menacing, until you actually fight him and realize that he is ridiculously easy. Sounds very familiar, don't you think? If you go back to Twilight Princess, Zant also acted in a very similar way. He was set up as a stereotypical evil villain only to have a mental breakdown once you finally confront him, as well as have a hilarious yet memorable fight. In fact, I'd go as far as to say that it is one of the best fights I've seen in a Zelda game. Now, if you're thinking that I'm going to imply that they are the exact same person, then you would be absolutely right. Ha! Didn't see that one coming, huh? Okay, before you start ranting in the comments about how stupid my theory is and that I should go kill myself, let me go through the reasons why this could be at least considered a possibility. First of all, let's go through some similar characteristics between the two. As said previously, both had been set up to be very intimidating foes until you actually fight them and realize that they're very easy to beat. Sure, that could be a coincidence, so let's look at some other things. Something that I want to bring up is the way Koga moves. He spins very quickly while maneuvering around the battlefield. While this doesn't seem like much, Zant moves around the exact same way during his speech before the battle with him. Also, during the final phase of his fight, he attacks by recklessly spinning into Link. Might not sound like solid evidence, but it does raise the question of if they are similar people. What about when Link knocks Zant off the totems in one of the faces? It looks similar to how Koga gets stuck in the ground once you hit him with a metal ball. Zant can also make items out of Twilight matter, as he makes a scimitar of Twilight in order to revive the Twilight fossil Star-Lord. Koga also seems to create some metal balls out of nowhere. And you notice how whenever he makes something or that you could teleport, these strange paper-like things appear? Kinda like the Twilight matter. Also, another small point is that they both seem to have some sort of hovering ability. Both also have some sort of method of teleportation, two other traits that could link them together. Another thing to point out is that they are shown to deal with conflict by having tantrums. This makes both people act kind of childish. Okay, at this point you should at least be convinced even a bit about this. Now, one of the biggest problems that people will point out about this theory is that Zant isn't a Sheikah. But what if I told you that there is evidence in the game that could make this plausible? What evidence? Well, in certain parts of the game like Zant's throne room and the fused shadow, both seem to have a picture of the Sheikah eye on them. And that isn't the only thing I have to show. When you think about it, the backstory of the Yuga Clan and the Twilight is very similar. When we confront Zant before the battle, he says the following. You speak of magic? Still your tongue for a moment, whelp, and I will tell you of both magic and the oppression of ages. The people of our tribe, the tribe that mastered the arts of magic, were locked away in this world like insects in a cage. In the shadows we regressed, so much so that we knew neither anger nor hatred, nor even the faintest bloom of desire. And all of it was the fault of a useless, do-nothing royal family that had resigned itself to its miserable half-existence. And going back to Kato from Kakariko Village, he talks to you about the Yuga Clan. We of the Sheikah tribe have long been heralded as people of great wisdom. Our technology became the key to sealing Ganon away during the Great Calamity, some 10,000 years ago. At one point, our technology was praised as the power of the gods, but eventually the people turned on it, turned on us. Our creations came to be viewed as a threat to the kingdom. The Sheikah became outcasts, forced into exile. Some, like us, chose to cast off our technological advances and strove to live normal lives. Others fostered a hatred towards the kingdom that shunned them. These sad souls swore their allegiance to Ganon. They now call themselves the Yuga Clan. Her sole mission is to eliminate all who stand against Ganon. The similarities between these two is mind-blowing. Both once were said to have an ancient sort of power, and both were exiled. Zant also blames the royal family for accepting this punishment, much like how the Sheikah accepted the idea of living a normal life without the technology. The use of half-existence could also represent the split between those that accepted and those who rejected their lifestyle. And this makes you think, what if they were the same? First of all, in Ocarina of Time, it is assumed that many of the Sheikah died during the Hyrulean Civil War. But what if they didn't die, but were just exiled to the Twilight Realm? I mean, you don't see any Sheikah at all in the child timeline. In Majora's Mask, sure, they are referenced, but only in an item. In fact, if the Sheikah really were the Twilight and were banished before Ocarina of Time, that would mean that the story of Twilight Princess could exist in more than one timeline since the split happened after Ocarina of Time. How about we go back to Koga's entry in the Compendium? A part of it states that his mastery of the esoteric arts earned him a deep respect. I did some digging and found this. In the olden days, achieving esoteric knowledge meant getting initiated into the mystical arts, learning secrets unknown to regular folks. Could this refer to the ancient power that the Twilight possessed before being sent to the Twilight Realm? Okay, so let's just take a step back and look at this from a different perspective. Yes, Zant and Koga could be the same person. However, there are some issues with this. First of all, Zant was killed in Twilight Princess, and even if he survived, Breath of the Wild takes place at the very end of the timeline. It's safe to say that whatever length of time this is, it would be too long for Zant to live. And how would he or the rest of the Twilight even be able to return to Hyrule? The mirror was shattered in the end of Twilight Princess. Well, I thought a bit about these arguments and came up with another solution. Could Koga be a descendant of Zant? When he prepares a secret weapon to kill Link, he says the following: "I need to bust out my serious moves. A secret technique taught by my father's mother's father. It will destroy you." At first I thought he was just making it up, but what if he really was using a power handed down from his family eventually to him? Could Zant have made this technique? It would also explain how years could pass between the two games. And while the Mirror of Twilight was destroyed, another ancient structure somewhat similar to the Mirror of Twilight is in Breath of the Wild. Could the Twilight have returned and over time became the Sheikah once again? Another thing, I've been wondering for the longest time as to why the Yuga Clan are even devoted to Ganon in the first place. What would they get from helping him? And then it hit me. Their main objective is to kill the hero, Link. Zant was also very loyal to Ganon, referring to him as his god. He died believing that he would be resurrected by Ganondorf. So, what if Koga's real goal was to avenge his ancestor? What if he is simply following in Zant's footsteps? It would make sense that he would go after Link since he was one of the people responsible for Zant's death. The Yuga foot soldiers could simply be pawns, much like the Twilight were to Zant when he turns them into shadow beasts. And now that I think about it, even if Ganondorf was defeated in Twilight Princess, could he still revive Zant? The point is, the similarities between the Sheikah and the Twilight are huge. I started off by saying this would be a lot of speculation, but at this point it really could be a possibility. And you know what? That's good enough for me. Thank you guys for watching as usual. I had a lot of fun with this theory. The fact that I could finally incorporate Twilight Princess into one of these theories was awesome. Feel free to let me know what you thought about this theory, and if you have any cool ideas for future theories, then feel free to let me know. I've been Nintendo Black Crisis, and I will see you guys later.